All right, we're live on YouTube.
What's going on, everyone? Ben Ryan Chase back here, episode 80 plus 1 show, 81 officially. We got a packed show again here today. At this point in the game, you know, the fall we talked about is popping, and NH haven't even started yet, but another crazy week of football. I know Ben wants to preview the WNBA a little bit later in our show, so stick around for that. And yeah, I mean, let's just get right into it. What do we got on tap,
Let's
man?
do it. So we're gonna break down the Cowboys, Ravens, MLB playoffs, WNBA playoffs, do a quick NASCAR preview, and then just finish off with some Week 5 college football.
Week 4?
No, we're gonna go Week 5 preview.
Oh, Week 5 preview.
Week 5 preview.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Your two teams faced off last week. Cowboys, Ravens. Kind of looked like the Ravens just gonna take it, no contest, and Ravens kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit and let the Cowboys back in. Ultimately, a Ravens win. But how are we feeling? You guys are both sitting 1-2 after 3 weeks.
Yeah, Ryan, if you want to go first, I feel like this game. Yeah.
All right, I really don't want to get going here because I came into the night I didn't even want to talk about this. My takeaways is one, I've been a Cowboys fan for about 20 games. They have yet to remotely be able to have a rush defense and exploited. Two, the exact opposite problem on the opposite side of the ball. They can't run. And three, I just wanted to cry the entire time because I just realized that we just should have signed Derrick Henry. He's a king. He was crowned on his first touchdown, I think, or maybe
wanted
his
to sign
second.
him.
I wanted to sign him. I love him. One of my favorite non-Cowboy in the game, and it's not even close. I love him. I loved him on Tennessee. I wanted him, and I'm not worried about the Cowboys. They're gonna win 10 plus games. They're gonna get into the playoffs, but it's just the same recurring problems. I felt like Baltimore. You know, they didn't even really have to go to the drawing board. They're just like, okay, what the Cowboys suck at, let's just do that and win. So more surprised that the Ravens are 1-2 than the Cowboys right now, as we talked about last week. But that's about it. I'm kind of hoping for a nice 40-0 win on Thursday night against the Giants just to make me feel better about myself and can hopefully move on from there. But that's
Yeah, it was definitely a tough one to watch, like from the Cowboys' perspective, and it also just feels like they have the explosiveness, and it's just going to come out at some point. And you're right, Ryan, it probably will happen Thursday night. They just had a bad game at home, 2 bad games at home. They need to take it out on somebody, and it's going to be the Giants. But and the score too, it came close, but for the Ravens, this has been like a problem with the fourth quarter and John Harbaugh. I don't really know what's going on. Going into this game, I kind of felt like if Lamar played under center a little bit more, it could get some play action stuff. It might be better. And it really did. And this game, it showed up early. The big Kohler catch and run down the sideline, that was from a play action pass. He set that up. Second drive, about half of them were under center. Henry gets the touchdown. And then it kind of varied from there. They did a lot of shotgun and like RPO stuff, and that was mostly because of the clock and where they were at. But it felt like the times that they did utilize that on the drives, they were able to break off big runs from Henry, or at least get a big passing play from somebody. Aguilar, Kohler, Bateman, obviously with the touchdown, and he also had like a 10-yard catch. But I'd like to definitely see that more going down into the season further, especially against the tough matchups. But yeah, I was about ready to rip Todd Monken, and today, looking through it, I rewatched the game, counted it out for certain, and it wasn't that bad. And I did come across this interesting thing, and it's happened over the weekend, and I heard it twice from 2 different people, which makes me really feel like it's definitely important, and I can't believe I never heard about it in my life. But do you guys know on average how many drives you'll get in a football game?
I always thought it was more. I'm gonna guess 8.
Okay, Ben.
Per team.
I'm gonna guess 12.
Yeah, so you're both right around it. It's between 10 and 11, and it seems crazy, but then if you go through and look at the play-by-plays, it really does average out to about that. And it depends too, because you could have your last series where you're just nailing it and blah blah blah, and you could have a series before. So yeah, it could be 8, and it could definitely be 11 sometimes, but in that sweet spot. So now that I'm like thinking about footballing that terms of you only get really good 10, you might get 8 chances and then possibly a little bit more. It just shows that the possessions mean a lot more, and especially capitalizing early like they did. They got out to a big lead. So hopefully they can just figure out how to keep the brakes on and obviously clean it up on special teams. You can't be missing an easy cake lollipop. Zay Flowers, what was that? I don't know, buddy. Still going to be an all-pro probably, still going to be a money returner, but I have no idea what that was. He could have just stood there and looked at it because it was definitely not going to go 10 yards, but that's it. Harbaugh being a special teams coach, his special teams are pretty particularly ass, if you ask me. Over his entire tenure, he's had some pretty bad gaffes on special teams, but Justin Tucker makes up for a lot of that, even though he missed the kick. We'll figure it out, but yeah.
And shout out to Matt who commented Ravens over Cowboys on Instagram. So
hell yeah.
Matt was on the Baltimore episode, so I can't really argue about that. Yeah. It is, Chase, I don't want to open up a can of worms. It is very interesting, especially with possessions nowadays. And I know I was high on, the era I grew up in, but these drives, like defenses, the one thing they can do now is try to not let people over the top, but offenses are at an all-time high, right? So you have these like 6 to 10 minute drives because there's a ton of running. The clock's just trucking, a bunch of dump downs, 5-6 yards, gets tackled, but it's a great point you made. You don't have as many 3-and-outs now, and you don't have all these gunslingers. I mean, Sam Darnold threw 4 touchdowns on Sunday, but he had maybe 200 yards. Like, it's not like you're 300-yard week every gunslingers.
No, it'll be interesting. We touched on some of that quarterback play, last year with one of our episodes. It'll be interesting to kind of examine that again this year, even compared to 2023 and 2022, how it's ending.
And I think there's only been one 300-yard passer, and it was Andy Dalton this past weekend. So
that's crazy. I mean, just remember, like 10 years ago, that was like, and I get it. I think that defense, it's easier now to play offense than ever before. So the only thing the defense has is keep everything in front and hope the offense messes up. Is kind of what it's great, but a couple 8-minute touchdown drives and you're in the hole. And
I think one thing with the Cowboys, just outside looking in, I mean, they gotta figure out ways to get CD the ball a little more, even if it's just a couple end arounds or something to get the ground game going and to keep the defense off balance. 4 catches for, I mean, the most dynamic player on the field. Like, you could look at what the 49ers have done with Debo. Like, why not try to line CD up a couple times in the backfield and just see what happens?
I'm putting on the majority of blame, by the way, on the coaching staff. I know a lot of people have been hot on Mike McCarthy the past probably year and a half or so, but between him and Mike Zimmer, I don't know, Chase. I know you talked about it. It's easy to get in that hump, but the Cowboys have another game or two like this, and they start like 1-5, 2-6. Either the play callers on offense and defense are going to have to change, or someone's going to get canned.
Yeah, you don't want to say Thursday's like a must-win game, but against the Giants, like, you got to win that game.
And I get it. They own them, and they're divisional teams, so at some point they're going to lose. But it can't be.
Yeah, and it was a tough day too. I mean, early in the game, CD catches that ball inside the 10, and it gets punched out from behind. That literally, I don't think ever happens to CD. I can't remember a time where he gets it punched out. So I feel like that early on put him into a funk, and then from there it was just trying to build him back up. Yeah.
Credit to Kyle Hamilton. I think it was Kyle Hamilton on that.
It was Nate Wiggins finally. God damn it!
Oh, it wasn't Hamilton.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't Hamilton, but it was Wiggins, our first-round pick. Showed an effort in college. He doesn't give up on a play, even though he got beat. He got called his pants down. He ran over and punched the ball out, so he made up for it. But definitely want to see him on the field a lot more. He's only played basically 2 games. He was in a car accident last weekend, so scratched from that game. But nothing serious. But he just got held out. But you spent a first-round pick on this guy. He better be playing a whole lot and be making plays like that. So definitely good to see. But I don't know. Dak made a lot of good long passes still. Like Turpin showed up. Jalen Tolbert showed up. So I feel like that was at least a blessing in disguise. I know the score wasn't out, but if they would have kept the Ravens at 21, they might actually win this game.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not hitting the panic button or anything like that. We talked about 1 and 2 is not the end of the world, but
yeah. Once we get out of September, this is honestly just extended preseason. If you if you go 0-2 in October, it's time to really actually panic.
Yeah, I mean Brady. We always talk about it, right? Brady players and teams like they suck in September, and then you turn it on when it gets cold into later, more important games. And
yeah.
But real quick before we move on to baseball, I obviously watched the entirety of that game, Chase. I just want to hear your takes on this. I also watched the majority of the Bengals Commanders last night, and Ben and I talked before the show. Jaden Daniels is one of the few young guys. I know he played like 5 years in college or whatever, but he's been one of the young guys that's been promising and been producing early on in his career. I mean, he's 3 games in now, but just looking at this overall stats to start the season and his game style, he kind of reminds me of Lamar a little bit. Heisman Trophy winners in college. I mean, the carries, they both carried 30 times between 170 and 250 or so yards. Jaden Daniels has a better completion percentage, but just across the board, you might know better than me. Is that a decent comparison? I know defenses and coaches, once they get more film and tape on Jaden Daniels, can start to figure him out a little bit more, but that was kind of the vibe I was getting. It was just like cool, calm, collected, had a little bit of a swagger to him, and just smooth with his footwork and how he would be able to move the chains if he needed to with his leg.
I have a different comp, but I'll let Chase talk first.
You do?
Yeah, like I think that's a good one, especially at the NFL level. I think it equals out a little bit more. I would definitely say that Jaden Daniels has a little bit more arm talent than Lamar. I would definitely say that for certain. So I think that makes Jaden Daniels more potent. And also, I think he's shown a better ability to have more, like, the way he lines up on offense, I think, is better than the way Lamar did. I think when Lamar came out, I almost think he was exclusively shotgun, never really under center. And Jaden Daniels can do both right away. He can already do that, and I think that was because of just where he went to college at. But yeah, I would say, like, Lamar, stats wise, they're probably always going to be pretty similar in the league, just because Jaden Daniels, if he sees the opening, he's going to run for it. I mean, he had some of the nastiest hits I've ever seen in college, and he just gets up from it.
Yeah,
but he literally got laid out, like somebody hit him with a 60-mile-an-hour car, just because he would run for it.
Yeah.
I think one thing between him and Lamar definitely has a more dynamic speed aspect. Just kind of more of an elite level speed. That Daniels is not slow by any means.
Yeah,
but I just don't think he has that level of burst that Lamar does. The comp that I was going to say, and it's not a disrespect to Daniels at all, was another former Commander, and that's like a young RG3.
Okay.
When he was getting the Washington in the playoffs.
Yeah. At 1 year.
Before he played the Ravens and we took both of his kneecaps.
I was gonna say I think he's had 2 really decent years, but I think Daniels will be good. He definitely seems like that football IQ, at least early on, is definitely high compared to the other quarterbacks. I mean, but some of them are just getting into it. I mean, Bo Nix had a much better game week 3, so never know what we're gonna see.
I mean, Terry McLaurin has caught a pass from like 10 to 15 different QBs since he's been in Washington, so they're due to hit at some point.
Yeah,
but
so were the Browns, but they still never do.
True. I mean, we'll see. It's early.
But all right, let's move on here to baseball. We won't talk too much. Just do a quick little playoff preview. I'll talk quickly Mets, as game 1 of it in Atlanta is going on right now. We got 6 games left for the Mets. They are currently in the number 2 spot. All they have to do is win 2 out of 3 in Atlanta, and they clinch. So they write their own destiny, really, and it just kind of we'll see what happens. I mean, theoretically, they can lose to the Braves and still get in with the Diamondbacks struggling a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's prime time. Lindor's still out. I got to say, Acuna has been everything and more than I would have thought coming up. He profiles as kind of a lighter hitting shortstop who has some line drive potential, and he's shown a lot more power in the first 30 at bats than I thought. And he's hitting major league pitching really well. And I mean, stepping in as the shortstop with the New York Mets in a playoff race with 15 games left in the year, and he performing the way he has, pretty solid in the field, hitting clutch hits the way he has. It's been pretty impressive. So, and that was the trade from trading Max Scherzer to the Rangers is who they got last year is the main prospect. So some of that's paying dividends, and we'll see what this team can do. But I'm excited that they potentially can get a playoff spot here and lock it up hopefully the next few days.
Oh yeah.
And if the Mets get the last spot, they potentially play the Phillies round 2 if they can get by. But got to get in first.
I'm not even going to poke the bear this week.
No, we will wait till that happens.
Yeah.
I am if they play each other, I am down to figure out how to get to the game.
Oh, I know you are.
Down.
It's just a terrible.
I will wear all my Mets stuff in Philly.
And that's not a terrible idea. The terrible idea is what is going to be when we leave, because it's always a lose-lose situation with sports together. So
we can just hit up Sam. He might be able to get us some tickets.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Mets, looking up. I'm excited. But you guys clinched the NL East. I know you guys, it was pretty definite it was going to happen at some point, just a matter of when, and you guys took care of business. Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even count this as anything. I think it's just more like, great. You guys did so bad last year in the playoffs. You left a bad taste in my mouth. I still have it in my mouth, and I'm ready right now to finally be able to get rid of that. So I feel like this is when the real season starts. Right now, we're in the playoffs. Time to put this $300 million payroll to do something out there.
Yeah, and it'll be, if you guys face
the matchups, especially first round, even second round, honestly, besides the Dodgers, and Ben probably feels the same way, it's just the NL between injuries and just consistent play. It seems like the matchup shouldn't be bad, but obviously the Diamondbacks seemed like a lock to win last year, and it didn't happen. But
yeah,
I'm with you, Chase. I'm with you.
And all the teams who got the first round buys that complain that they came out and lost, like that's now we're really going to be putting ourselves on the line here. I mean, there's way more than they've had going in the last 2 years. So we'll see.
For you guys, it starts with that 1-2 combination and how well they pitch.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, because last year they barely used anyone else besides them. And I just feel like, I'm assuming they're going to use Suarez, and they used them a little bit last year, but he would only pitch like 4 innings. And then obviously Walker had a good year last year. I know he probably won't even make the roster this year, but you're right, Ben. But
the issue you guys have is you get some of your bullpen guys are inconsistent. You don't have like that. You got someone like Alvarado who can be lights out or who can walk the bases loaded with nobody out. So you want to, if Wheeler can go in and get you 7, that's huge. It doesn't start and end with those 2 guys, but it's a big part of your system.
Yeah, I think if they're not going out there and doing that, we're going to have a big problem. Like if they're only going out getting 5 innings every time from their starting pitching, we're going to not make it far.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
No, yeah.
But no, and I think before we end MLB quick playoff preview, just acknowledge Ohtani. I think I haven't shit on Ohtani, but I know I made a case for Lindor as MVP. He's now out, so I'm not going to even try to touch that again. But Ohtani, 53 home runs or 55 home runs, 53 stolen bases, something like that, or reversed. It is pretty incredible. I feel like we should give him at least his flowers.
Yeah. Congrats, Ohtani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he gets
Let's
to
see
go.
next year when you're pitching and batting. Let's see those 53 homers.
Now he gets to actually play in the playoffs for the first time.
Yeah.
Percent chance in the playoffs if they need him, Ohtani comes out of the bullpen.
So Ryan and I talked about that actually on the way to golf. And do you know the rule? Like I know like pitching and hitting as far as the DH, but like coming in as a reliever, how does that affect a D? Like, can he still be the DH, come in as a reliever and then come out? Like, is that, I don't know the the rules with that, if he's allowed to, or how that works.
I have no idea. My gut feeling is that anytime you just add something to that DH person, it takes the DH away.
That's what I think. And I don't like, so then the Dodgers probably don't want to risk getting the DH away, especially him out of the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, because they've kind of just been.
Unless he closes.
Yeah.
He closes the game.
Yeah. But what if he goes in and closes, blows it, and then he's totally out?
Yeah. I will say, just not to bounce back to the Mets real quick, the thing they do have going for them is after this series, the Braves play the Royals, who are in a hunt themselves right now, and the Padres and Diamondbacks play each other. So that
helps.
And the Mets play the Brewers, who are kind of locked in where they are. So that does help the Mets in potential spot. So yeah, let's kick it into gear for the next segment here and go NBA playoff preview. If you guys want to chime in, you can, but I'm just gonna kind of roll with this one for a tiny bit. I actually watched, instead of Monday Night Football, I watched a decent amount of the Sun. I'm sorry, that was Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched the Sun Fever game, and Fever lost pretty handedly, which I figure the Sun are a good team. But I wanted just to talk about who I think, prediction-wise, might have a shot to take it all the way. Caitlin Clark won Rookie of the Year. She deserved it. She was fourth in the MVP too, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
Dr. Wilson got the first unanimous. She had 26.9 points a game, which is the most ever.
Is that a third MVP?
Third MVP, and she'll probably win Defensive Player of the Year this year, which would be her third Defensive Player of the Year too.
Full on dominating the entire league.
Yeah, she's gotten top three, I think, like 6 out of her 8 years she's been in the league, or 6 out of her 7. But I think they're in a battle right now. The Aces. I think it's really going to become between the Liberty and the Sun. After this matchup, it'll be basically the winner of the Aces and Storm against the winner of the Liberty and Dream. And the Liberty and Aces would face each other in the semifinals, which all the last year or two, it's been them in the championship. So there'll be a new contender from the other side of the bracket.
Makes it up a little bit.
Yeah, which I think will be the Sun. This is kind of, the Sun don't have a lot left in DeWanna Bonner probably, and Alyssa Thomas is doing her thing with her triple-double. So I think it'll be that matchup, and we'll see who wins. But I want to talk quickly also about the playoff format, because it definitely needs to be changed, and I just want to tell you guys quickly about it. We might have touched on it some, but so from 2016 to 2021, because of like charter flights and things that they didn't really have access to, they basically, the first two rounds, they only had 6 teams in the playoffs, and the first two seeds got a bye, and then three played 6, 4 played 5.
Makes sense.
But it was a best of 1.
Oh my God! What?
So you could get the 3 seed.
The quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So that's the quarterfinals are best of 1.
Yes. So you could get.
How many games do they play in a season?
Less than the NBA. I don't know what the.
A comp would be like the wild card used to being 1 game after these guys play 162 games.
I'm gonna say like 50-ish. I'm gonna say 50-ish. But let's do a check here. 40. Okay. So 40. But so they credit to the WNBA that went away from this format. But kind of crazy that you could get a 3 seed, have a great regular season, and then 1 game you just lose
in the quarterfinals. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So now they've changed it. So there's 8 teams, which some people might not like because there's only 12 teams. However, for the next 3 to 4 years, there's an expansion team every year. So they're going to have, they already announced the Portland. They just announced that actually a week ago. And that's 15. That's their 15 teams. They're at 12 teams now. They already have 3 more for the next 3 years coming, which is
that's
cool.
awesome.
I think the goal is to get to 16, which is a good number. So right now there's 8 out of 12 make it. My issue, and everyone plays in the first round. There's no buys. My issue is that it's a best of 3 as a first round. By doing that, the format they have is the first 2 games. So like Connecticut's the 3, or I'm sorry, Connecticut's the 3 seed, the Fever the 6 seed. The first 2 games are in Connecticut. So unless the Fever get to game 3, they don't get to have a home game at all. And then on the flip side, if they win a game, then game 3, the pivotal game, is on the road for the.
That's awful.
So there's like Diana Taurasi, for example, which is a good chance it's her last game and probably one of the best ever. They lost their first game. Game 2 is tonight. And unless she wins, she's not going to get a home playoff game. And like you're telling me, like so there should be best of 5. Each team should at least get a home playoff game.
Yeah, I don't mind the best of 3. Like the MLB, they don't even travel.
Right.
If you're going to do a best of 3, just stay in one spot, because first, it's stupid both ways.
Yeah. A
pivotal game, the rubber match, however you want to call it, the game 7, the game 3, that needs to be for the better seed. 100% out of 100% of the time.
Yeah. So I don't like that there's a good chance a team doesn't even get a home playoff game. Like the Fever and how they've been, like regardless of which Caitlin Clark, like they deserve to have a home playoff game against Connecticut.
They should just do best of 5.
Right. So I think that needs to be changed, but we'll see how they approach that going forward. But I've been watching. I'm excited to kind of keep monitoring. I've been rooting for the Connecticut Sun here a little bit. So
that's your team, right?
That's my team. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Any picks? Any picks for this?
I made a minus 192 pick for the Connecticut Sun to win the series against the Fever.
I like that. 1 unit, 2 units.
But I can't officially do it now because it was. I mean, I made the pick, but I can't announce it now. They already won.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Fever. The issue with the Fever is they're ranked, I think, 11th out of 12th or 12 out of 12 in their defense. They're a good shooting team, but they're not a good defensive team. So
catch some games.
Yeah,
it's a busy time of year.
Watch some WNBA when you can. Yeah. So from the not a transition many podcasts probably make, from the WNBA to NASCAR.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're the best podcast.
That's why we are the best. Yeah. Check us out if you haven't already.
Yeah, if you're looking for total sports coverage, don't go to ESPN. Come right here. We cut through all the BS and we give you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So NASCAR this past weekend, first round of cuts. It was at Bristol. Really tough track. I do like the way that NASCAR has been mixing up the playoffs so far. We've had a 1.5 mile track. We had a road course. We had a short 1/2 mile track this weekend in Bristol. So it's really been exciting. The matchups this weekend will go to Kansas, but to recap Bristol, Kyle Larson pretty much from start to finish bookended this race. He was the most dominant driver all day. Really just adding to the fact that he gave away the regular season title because he did the double where he ran at Indy and had to sit out the race, and then that was obviously shortened. But he should have won that, and he's obviously making himself in prime position to take this all the way through the playoffs. I mean, he's just been typical Kyle Larson. If the car doesn't fail, he's pretty much just going to finish top 3. So got to give it to him. Our guy Christopher Bell still hanging in there, doing what he does. I think he's 15 points behind. I think he's 15 points right now in second place. So not too bad behind Larson. I mean, it could be a lot worse. And I think he's 4 points.
Yeah.
4 or 5 points.
Larson, Chase, like, is he just going to run away with this?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough, but it's a crazy sport. I mean, he's been dominant so far. Next week, he can go get a DNF, and then somebody who's last in points could get the win. So it's been that type of season where one person starts off hot and then another person takes it. So it's just been a good rotation. And Kansas is really going to let these guys open it back up. I feel, and there's a few guys who need this more than anything right now. I think a lot of guys just got lucky at Bristol running it there really wasn't a whole lot of chaos like there has been, especially the spring race. The tires were failing like crazy, and guys couldn't keep the track under them. So this race was a little bit different, and I can't say that there was a whole lot of point shakeups. So I think the guys who got eliminated, you pretty much assume they were going to at some point. I can't even believe they made it to the playoffs, but that's the way it is. You get a win, you're in. So a lot of guys locked themselves in and saw them way out in the first round, but that's how it goes. This weekend we'll start up again and go from there. But Christopher Bell, all the Toyotas have been dominant this year at Kansas, so I really like his odds going in just to even get the win straight up. Not sure if I'm going to make that a play, but I'm definitely feeling a top 3 for Christopher Bell.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it's not just Bell and Larson, but like for Christopher Bell's sake, another Toyota runner, maybe he's no longer in the playoffs, accidentally bumps Larson, is.
Yeah.
I know I'm fixating on the Austin Dillon thing. I get it, but I'm just thinking in my head, Larson feels like he's hot. He's already one of the best racers in the game. He's hot at the right time. Could one of these guys, who are in the running trying to get their first ever win, have one of their spoiler friends, take one for the team and a Ricky Bobby type situation.
Yeah, I mean Bubba Wallace, for as much as I dump on him, been running pretty good since the playoffs started. So the fact that he's been running well now that he can't get in the playoffs is hilarious to me. But he's definitely going to put himself in a position for a win. Also another Toyota, so I would say that he's going to have the same package running as Christopher Bell. I really like his odds this weekend. Obviously, Tyler Reddick been dominant all year, regular season champ. Can't count him out here at this place either. But yeah, I could see it's going to get tough, and these guys are still racing for money at the end of the line. Yeah, so what? You're in the playoffs, but I still want the check.
True.
And because I'm out of the playoffs, I'm trying to catch as much money as I can. So I don't think it's going to stop anyone from going for it, making a move. I mean, even at Watkins Glen, guys were racing like it was the first race of the year, and they were all gunning for it. So I like the intensity. It's still high. No one's dropped off. No one's dropped out. And just because you're in the playoffs doesn't give you the right, doesn't give you a reservation for first place. It's all up for grabs every single week. And I think it's even more now that the regular season guys who didn't make it want us to take all these wins and just cause havoc and maybe get your teammate in a position to win it. So, all these Hendrick guys got to do a little bit to protect themselves and their teammates, but everyone else is just gunning.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I might hide behind. I know it's not an official pick, but Christopher Bell top 3 definitely might hop on that. So
yeah, and he's been due. I mean, he hit a little bit of a cold streak, but he's been a guy who pulled out some pretty nice wins this year, or at least had himself in a spot to put himself there. So
yeah,
I like it.
All right. Well, I think as we wrap up the show, we'll do a quick little Week 5 college football preview. We got some good games this week coming up. I know last week was good, but there wasn't the same, I don't think, level of craziness necessarily. I guess I'd put it that way.
No, not a whole lot of sexy matchups. Obviously, Tennessee and Oklahoma was the game of the week. Tennessee went in, did their business, showed them why they're a top team in the country. Other than that, Dylan Raiola got his first L at the college level. I think we could all pour one out for that. Maybe even celebrate it a little bit.
That's right.
Got his candy ass whooped in a Big Ten matchup. So
you called it.
More of that.
Called it.
Hey, and I gotta talk it because guess who turns around and plays Illinois this week? Who just handed him the loss? Penn State. So you know what? Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game. They're favored by 18.5. I think that's way too. That's too much. That's a little bit
too. Come on.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much Penn State love for me. But hey, and you never know. I didn't think they were going to cover last week, and they dropped a 50 piece on them. So, they might have it in them. But Illinois is going to be a tough matchup. Other games this week to look out for: Oklahoma State, Kansas State. Kansas State went in, got pantsed by BYU in a night game. I did not expect that to happen, but Kansas State's still a tough team. I think that if they're going to rebound, they're going to have to do it big against Oklahoma State. Louisville versus Notre Dame. Who the hell knows what Notre Dame's going to do? I don't even think Notre Dame knows what they're going to do. So if you're a Louisville fan, you better be pretty damn excited that you're going to get a top 10 win this weekend because I'm not sure that Notre Dame is going to be able to handle that. And then all of that action leads into the real biggie, Georgia, Alabama. I can't believe that the SEC gods blessed up with such a good matchup this early in the season, but I'm ready for it. We get to find out who's for real, who's for not in this matchup. Obviously, Alabama, without Nick Saban, everyone just thinks that they're probably going to lose every single game. Haven't done that. And for Georgia, everyone thinks that they're going to win every single game. It's been sketchy, but they can at least put all those things to bed this weekend when they play Alabama for sure. I think College Game Day's already booked their ticket. I don't even think they had to look at the schedule to know that they were going to have to go there for that matchup, but it's going to be a biggie. If you like college football, if you like anything about it, want to know who's going to be drafted pretty high next year, watch this game because you're going to find at least 10 to 15 guys who are going to be playing next Sunday. And that's a ridiculous number, but it's for a fact true. So, yeah, we got to get to that. But so that's a big one. Definitely want to keep your eye out for. I have no idea where Tulane and Hawaii are this week. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Hawaii might have the bye. They might be taking the old bye this week. They've done a lot of traveling, went to Texas already. Tulane has South Florida, 2-2 matchup, both sides, 12 o'clock ESPNU. I'm definitely watching that game somehow or some way. I'm listening to it, but that's going to happen. And let's see. Hawaii is
Tulane.
Yeah, Hawaii's off this week. They get the nice idle week, and then they come back for a nice tilt against San Diego State. So we'll definitely get you some action on that. But
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to the Penn State one. That'll be a big game, and I guess
I'm really excited for the Penn State game.
Keep an eye on that Alabama Georgia too. So
yeah, that's gonna be a big one. That's a lot of bragging rights, and it's not gonna count anyone out. I think that's a good thing about having a 12-team playoff this year. You can survive 1 to 2 losses unless you're Notre Dame, but otherwise you can pretty much count yourself in. I will say that Tulane's odds as an open team to make the playoffs definitely dropped. They're single digits now. I think they're 7%. JMU dropped 70 points on North Carolina. They upped their odds, and so did Boise State. I think they're both pretty high in the teens. So if they keep those up, they'll probably be the 2 teams that squeak into the playoff. But
doesn't Tulane won't they play them both?
Yeah, they'll definitely actually I don't know if they'll play Boise State. And I don't know if they'll play JMU.
Doesn't look like they do.
No, they do not.
Hawaii will play Boise State.
Tulane's probably screwed because they're 2 ranked opponents earlier in the year they lost to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a tough one.
And
being in the
they're one like crazy.
Yeah, I think the only good team they're really going to end up playing is Memphis at the end of the
year.
Yeah. It's crazy. College football, I mean, everyone's point about the NFL, like, baseball, you get 162 games. Baseball, hockey, you get plenty of games. Everyone in the NFL is like, oh, every game matters. College football, I mean, 12, maybe 13 games, and you can't lose more than 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It is tight.
Yeah, I would definitely say, and it really matters who you lose to.
Yeah, I mean, Tulane's 2-2 doesn't even sound like in the NFL, like that's not even that bad. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, they're pretty much shot. That's why.
And they were really playing well of like 3.5 quarters of good football against both those ranked teams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not bad for being a pretty small school.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had like 7 guys make it to the NFL.
Wow. Well, thanks for the college football breakdown as always. NASCAR too, and I think we'll wrap it up here. We got through 5 different sports and kind of powered through a lot of different topics. That was a fun episode. So we will break down episode 82 next week, and I think we'll end it there.
Yeah. So Cowboys spread on the Giants. Illinois to cover against Penn State. Christopher Bell top 3, and you throw a unit on it, and you'll have yourself a great weekend.
Connecticut Sun.
Connecticut Sun.
The Connecticut Sun minus 500 to win the series at this point.
Oh yeah, now it's gonna be a little
nice little extra boost to your thing.
And then just book your plane ticket to Cancun because it's already paid for.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Another great week. Ben, Ryan, Chase. We'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
That wasn't investment advice. See ya.